back to another video of Pulsating Biology, where we are covering the topic for O levels biology, that is nutrition in animals. We've already covered nutrition in plants, and now we are covering nutrition in animals. We've already discussed few of the topics in the previous video. For today's video, we have the subtopic that is the protein. When you talk about protein, the first component that arises in your mind is usually the amino acid. Before we learn about the protein, we need to learn that what is meant by the term amino acids. So, amino acids are basically the minor molecules that makes up the protein. Proteins are the long chain, so you can say they are termed to be the polymers of amino acid. What does the polymers of amino acid means? That these small chains of amino molecules of amino acid basically joins up together to form a one big macromolecule of a protein. An amino acid is made up of carbon. It can be made up of hydrogen, oxygen, and especially nitrogen. These are the major components of amino acids. When you talk about protein, the major structure that you need to know about protein is its amino acid structure, which consists of the three major things. We are going to talk that the three major things include the amino group at the number 1, the amino group, then we have the R group, and on number 3, we usually have the carboxyl group. Now, what is meant by the carboxyl group? It means that there are 2 oxygen molecules and 1 hydrogen and 1 carbon molecule. When you talk about this, well, let's make it a structure of the amino acids. So first we have the amino group with the 3 hydrogen molecules that are binded it together, and then we have the R group, and then at this side we have the carboxyl group with the 2 oxygen atoms and 1 hydrogen atom. So we can easily concentrate this structure into the amino group. This is the amino group that is, we say, is the NH3 group. When you talk about this is the R group. This is the R group, and when you talk about the carboxyl group, this here right over here is the carboxyl group that include the hydrogen as well. This is the COH, which we term it as the carboxyl group. These 3 groups that make up the structure of the protein, which includes the amino group, the R group, and the carboxyl group, makes up the protein structure that is the minor macromolecule of the amino acid. A central atom, carbon, has amine group at one side. At one side it has a carboxyl group, and in the middle we have an R group. The rest of 2 hydrogen is bonded with their own radicals. This is the basic structure that we have of amino acid, and how the proteins or the amino acids are basically binded together. That bond is known as the peptide bond. This bond that terms the proteins molecules together is known as the peptide bond. A hydrogen from NH2 and a OH from carboxyl group combines to form hydrogen as a bond. In that bond, we say that the bond that is formed is termed as the peptide bond. But whenever there is a 2-formed type of a bond, we say that it is a dipeptide bond. The dipeptide bond means that this bond is formed from the 2 or the dual sides. This is the basic structure and the basic information of protein and how the amino acid combines together to form the protein. And this is the basic structure of amino acid and protein, and how the amino acid joins up together to form the protein. When you talk about the protein in more detail, we get to know that there are 2 major structures of protein, that is the primary structure and the secondary structure. First, we are going to talk about the primary structure. So, primary structure basically contains of a straight chain. Whenever the structure of protein has a straight chain, it is termed as the primary protein. When it's termed as the primary structure, the other kind of a structure that we term it as the secondary structure is quite different as related to the primary structure. As the primary structure is straight, as the secondary structure is basically a coiled up or a 3D structure of a protein. We say coiled up or a 3D structure of a protein is termed as the secondary protein. These coils are held together by the weak hydrogen bonds. The bond that is between the protein is known as the peptide bond. But when you talk about the bonds between the structure of a protein, we say that they are termed by the hydrogen bond. Further, the tertiary and the quaternary structures are also made further by coiling the secondary structure. When we furthermore coil up the secondary structure, we say that we find out the tertiary structure and the quaternary structure. It is a more coiled up version of the secondary protein. So these are the 4 types of the protein. That is the primary protein, that is the secondary protein, and if we coil up a more structure of the secondary one, then we get the tertiary protein and the quaternary protein. We have the function of protein. When you talk about the function of protein, protein plays a very important role when you talk about that the synthesizing of materials. On number 1, we have that it is responsible for synthesizing the protoplasm. Protoplasm is the structure that makes up the cytoplasm of a plant cell. So this is a very important constituent. The protein is responsible for synthesizing the protoplasm. It also helps majorly in the growth of a body and repairing the damage, and also the repairing the damage in the somatic cells. We say that there is a large quantity of protein present for repairing the damage. It also synthesizes several enzymes and hormones in our body. When we talk about enzymes and also the hormones, the protein is responsible for synthesizing along with the protoplasm in plant, whereas in animals it is responsible for synthesizing the enzymes and the hormones. Proteins also make antibodies to fight against the pathogen, so it is also responsible for synthesizing the antibodies. As we say that majorly responsible for synthesizing many products along with the protoplasm enzyme and the hormone, we say that it also synthesizes the antibodies. Alright, other than that, it also plays a role in the muscles, hair, nails and the feathers, and also makes up the protein. When you talk about hair, muscles and also the feathers, all of them require protein to be functioning very efficiently. It is also the source of the reserved energy. These are all reserved energy. These are the 6 functions of protein, as the protein is majorly known for the synthesizing properties, and it is also responsible for synthesizing protoplasm in the plant cell, enzymes and hormones in the animals, antibodies, and also when it comes to hair, muscle and feathers, protein is major constituent of all of them. It is also responsible for the